This is just a quick overview of your tools and layout in Audacity and what they kind of briefly do. On the top left-hand corner, we have these kind of main tools, which are kind of self-explanatory: pause, play, stop, play from start, move to the end, and record. These are kind of your go-to main tools. You will also see that on each side of the little toolbar areas is this dotted line, which means you can, once picking it up, you can move it to where you want to move it. So if your display looks slightly different to mine, that's probably because your layout is configured in a different way. So you can move these around to make it more accessible for you. So the other tools, I'm going to move that to there, that are going to be useful. I'm going to move all the tools to up the top there. This here is the selection tool, which is going to be great for you to be selecting parts of your track, highlighting parts, being able to cut away, or highlighting it in order to copy and paste somewhere else. So very, very important tool is the selection tool. The second one is the envelope, and the envelope tool is, if you can see those two arrows, it's monitoring the volume of your track. So if you want to play with certain bits of your track being lower in volume and other parts being higher, you can drop these little anchor points in order to manipulate the volume within the track. Very useful to use. The draw tool is something that you probably won't need unless you're getting into quite a lot of detail into vocal detail and lowering and adjusting specific vocals, but the zoom tool is very, very useful. This will be used to zoom into your track to see the wave files up close, so that you can make very, very close cuts and accurate cuts. So that's going to be useful. And the other very useful tool is the time shift tool, which is once you've cut a track up and you want to move them around, you would select the time shift tool in order to pick up certain parts and arrange them in new ways. So very, very useful. This kind of star tool is called the multi-tool, which is a kind of configuration of all of these tools in one. I would probably say, again, not to use the multi-tool or the draw unless you're kind of advanced in Audacity. Other things here: cut, copy and paste. You'll recognise those from other software, and they do exactly what they always do: cutting, copying and pasting certain bits of your track. You'll be able to do that in Audacity. This one's quite a useful tool, also silence audio section. So if you select a part of your track that you want to silence out without cutting it, you can select it using the select tool and then pressing the silence audio selection. So they're your kind of main toolbar and tools that you'll be using on the go. Other things just to say: make sure that your volume, your recording volume, is set to 5 and your speaker volume set to 5 to begin with. This gives you a kind of somewhere to go in terms of if it's too loud or too soft, and you can see where your levels are at. Also make sure that this big green play symbol is set to 1. Playback speed is at 1. That's the normal playback speed. So this won't, if you move this whilst listening, it will just affect how you're listening to it. It won't actually affect the sound file itself. If you want to change speed duration, you will need to go into the effects tab and change it through there. Other things just to say are down here to bottom left is your project rate. Make sure that's at 44,100. Some people go up to 48,000, but we'll work at 44,100. Snap to off, that's all you kind of need to know. The other things just to say are these areas here. So here you have the microphone symbol, and at the moment it's dropped down into inbuilt microphone. If you have an external mic through USB or any other device that you want to record with, make sure that that is highlighted in the drop-down version. And the same with the built-out audio. So the speakers, I would recommend you always listen back through headphones, decent pair of headphones. And if you are using other speakers, make sure that that is highlighted too. You'll notice here also the channel recording, how it's going to be outputted. At the moment I've highlighted it to 2 stereo recording channels. That's the kind of average normal thing to do. If, however, you'll notice that when you import audio and it only has 1 track instead of 2, you'll know that it's a mono recording. And that might be useful when you're importing both mono and stereo recordings. You need to know which ones they are, but we'll get to that. So if, for example, I'm going to press record now, actually I'm going to monitor. I'm going to press on the microphone and I'm going to monitor my voice, and I'm just checking. I'm not recording here, I'm just checking that I am nowhere near the 0, because if I am near the 0, it's too high. So I'm just going to stop monitoring there, checking my mic, checking that that's quite a good level before I press record. And I'm going to do a little recording now. Press record. It's good to leave 3 seconds at the beginning of your track so it's easy to cut. And I'm going to stop there. And there we have a recording. On the audio track, if you've recorded straight in, you'll notice it's 44,100 Hertz at 16-bit. Your left and right is here, so you know you can play with panning from the left ear to the right ear, and you can also add the gain from here if it's too quiet in your recordings, but there are several other ways to change the volume if need be. So that's just a very, very brief overview of the interface, some of the tools, and we'll go into how the tools work shortly.